What is it that scares you? Spiders? Drowning? Climate change? Losing one of your AirPods? Fear is a fascinating emotion to explore, and that's why I love the horror genre. And of all the different kinds of horror series out there, there's one genre in particular that has caught my interest as of late, and that is analog horror.
Analog horror is very similar to found footage, where the premise is that everything you're viewing is told through old camera recordings. But what makes this genre unique is that it's almost exclusive to the internet, and the story is not limited to just camera footage. It can also include old VHS tapes and television broadcasts, among a few other things. It's still a very young genre, but as analog horror continues to grow and more people throw their hat into the ring, I think it's important to ask ourselves, what makes analog horror work?
This Halloween, or November depending on when I eventually get this out, let's take a quick look at 3 of the most popular analog horror series out there and see what they could teach us about this blossoming genre. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and grab your headphones, because today we're going to be talking about the art of analog horror. Let's start from the beginning with what many consider to be the godfather of the analog horror genre, Local 58.
Starting back in 2015, Local 58 is a collection of 6 shorts created by Chris Straub, who had already dabbled with scary internet stories before the series launched. If you're familiar with the Candle Cove creepypasta, this is the same guy. Local 58 is framed as being an archive channel for a public broadcasting station in Mason County, West Virginia. Every episode opens with a run-through of the scheduled programming before everything takes a downward spiral into nightmare territory. Sometimes this involves insomnia, corrupted government projects, or the moon.
I could dedicate a lot of time to discussing everything that Local 58 does right, but I want to focus in particular on how it handles its story, because it accomplishes so much despite having a much shorter runtime. Many mainstream horror series tend to stick to the same formulas across multiple movies or episodes, and it can begin to get a little stale after a while. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Is there any real significant difference between all the different paranormal activity movies besides how many people are inside the house at one point?
Family lives in a house, spooky ghosts throw things and people around, maybe somebody gets possessed and killed, mystery... pass.
No 2 Local 58 videos are alike with how they choose to scare the viewer and the kind of topics that they choose to discuss. For example, Contingency is centered around an emergency broadcast from the United States Department for the Preservation of American Dignity.
It announces that the United States has been overwhelmed by its enemy, so emergency measures must be taken to preserve our national pride. And while the glorious national anthem plays over some idyllic scenery, everything seems fine. Until you start reading the text, and you slowly realize that this emergency measure is mass suicide. Front lawn, face up, feet together. Tend to your children first. This message will repeat until there are none to read it. It is against the law to delay it. It's a very subtle and slow kind of sociological horror, especially if you're somebody who distrusts the intent of your government. This stands in sharp contrast to the very next video, Weather Service. You're greeted with distorted sound, flashing red and black lights between 2 warring streams of texts, telling people to stay indoors and avoid looking at the night sky before something else spells out, go outside, now. Crackling, flashing, do not look at the moon. Then dead silence as it tells us this haunting tale.
Every episode of Local 58 is its own unique experience, and it doesn't rely on the same tricks to try to unsettle you every single time. Some people think that Contingency and Weather Service are 2 of the most frightening episodes out there. I for one think it's a show for children, because I really do not like the way that the moon is looking at me.
What's more is that each story is more or less self-contained, like an anthology series. No matter which episode you start with, or how many episodes you choose to watch, you walk away having a complete experience from each episode. But at the same time, there is still an underlying story that you can pick up on that does connect all these events together, even tangentially.
Plenty of people have unpacked Local 58 before, and I'm not here to tread on their turf. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you check out their videos, but not before you check out Local 58 for yourself. It's efficient, it's effective, and it's a classic. Jumping forward in time to the year 2019, Gemini Home Entertainment is a series created by Remy Abode. It is currently still in production with 16 episodes as of the time of recording.
Instead of public broadcasting, Gemini Home Entertainment is a VHS distribution company that archives fictional old videos from the 80s and 90s on their YouTube channel. Most of them are educational, talking about subjects like outer space, the great outdoors, the ocean, and forest safety. I feel very safe.
There's more of a linear storyline in Gemini Home Entertainment, so I will not spoil too much here, as it's available for free on YouTube. As a matter of fact, this series was the one that got me into the analog horror fan club. And do you want to know why? It looks terrible! Terrible in a good way.
Much like found footage, one of the draws to analog horror is that it's not supposed to look good. People who've grown up with VHS tapes like I have know what they sound and look like. The white lines, the background static, the fuzzy footage quality. It's a distinct style that invokes nostalgia of the late 20th century. Even if it's technically pretty bad looking, artistically, that's what makes it effective.
When I'm watching Gemini Home Entertainment, I'm transported back to the era where they would put on an educational videotape for us in grade school when they wanted to distract us for a whole day. Everything from the font to the occasional blips in the footage and basic gradient backgrounds, the poor quality is what makes it so comforting. So when I'm suddenly confronted by this terrifying thing, it immediately sends a signal to my brain that this doesn't belong here, and thus I should be frightened. Why is this in my copy of Bill Nye the Science Guy? But here's the thing. Yes, it looks bad. But it doesn't prevent me from understanding what's going on.
An issue that many people have with found footage is how difficult it can be to follow the plot of the story. The camera shakes so much you can't tell what's going on, or that it's so dark that you can't tell what's going on, or that the sound is so bad that you can't tell what's going on. Watch the Blair Witch Project and tell me you have any clue what the hell happens in those last 5 minutes.
Horror hinges on feeding the audience just enough tidbits of information that they're able to stay hooked on the story without ruining the suspense that it's trying to create. But if they aren't able to understand what's going on because of bad camera work or because of blurry footage, then that mystery is lost amidst all of the confusion. It's a very difficult line for creators to walk, and not all of them are able to achieve it.
The Gemini Home Entertainment does a good job of utilizing the style to its advantage. They'll obscure parts of a scene with props so that we could just barely see enough of the spindly, spider-like monster before it quickly cuts away. But we could still register that whatever that was, it was definitely not human. When it's sunset, you're able to see clear silhouettes of the people participating in the scene and notice how awkward everything is despite never seeing their faces in clear detail. Even during moments of shaky cam, enough time is given for you to realize what you're seeing just before it falls out of focus. And you don't have to worry about poor audio quality keeping you from hearing anything, because the music does a good job of conveying the mood of a scene. A lot of the information is presented through text, and when we absolutely need to hear something,
help me! Somebody! Help!
that's all we hear.
Gemini Home Entertainment is a great series to cut your teeth on. It updates semi-regularly, and there's plenty more to come in the future. Check it out if you're interested in a more down-to-earth horror experience about what lies beyond the stars. The Walten Files was created by Chilean artist Martin Walls back in April 2020, with 12 episodes currently slated and the 4th one currently in production, alongside several other non-canon episodes.
The Walten Files compiles together footage from commercials, employee logs, training tapes, phone calls, and even arcade games surrounding the Bunny Smiles Incorporation and the restaurant Bond's Burgers. The company fell into hard times following the disappearance of one of its founders, Jack Walton, and then several of his family members and company employees. It's suspected that they're still around, stuffed in possessing the suits of the animatronics, and trying to reach the only known survivor of the Walton family, Sophie.
Hey, this kind of looks like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Astute observation! Yes, this is inspired by the Five Nights at Freddy's video game series. Martin Walls has gone on record to state that this was originally meant to be a fan game that eventually got revitalized as its own independent series.
FNAF has had a lot of influence on analog horror, and it's definitely not the first series to come out with clear inspiration from the franchise, if not an outright connection to it. But I'm picking this one in particular because A, it's one of the most popular ones, B, I happen to love the nostalgia it gives me for Five Nights at Freddy's, C, it doesn't require you to know anything about the games, and D, it's very unique in its presentation for the genre.
If you can't tell by the clips I have on screen, this series is primarily animated in 2D, even the real-world sections. We rarely see any characters outside of the occasional character portrait, a missing poster, and occasionally their lifeless mangled corpse.
It showcases Martin's wonderful art style, gives us a unique face to remember, and allows for some more flexibility with the gory scenes. But the fact that it doesn't take place in the real world can make it harder to achieve audience immersion.
So Martin does something else to achieve this in a way that I don't think any other analog horror series has managed to top yet. Voice acting.
Text-to-speech is used for some of the commercials and company introduction things, which I didn't notice at first.
Because I'm an idiot.
But honestly, I still think it works. The automated voice is a steady and predictable sound, and the voices that are used aren't any of the ones that everybody recognizes. But the uncanny quality can still set you a little bit on edge. So when it finally breaks, it catches you a bit off guard.
Now that everyone has arrived, I suppose it's time for the movie night to begin. Bond spent all his money on a really funny movie, which he hopes all of his friends will enjoy and will laugh with little Bond. And friends watched the movie. I guess we can say they had a blast of a time.
Most of the plot-significant characters and segments are voice acted by real-life people. And it's not just the same guy with a funny voice filter over it. No. These people are actually talented. Take a listen.
What was that thing?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, step right up. Get ready for entertainment like you've never seen before.
Oh, I know. Ask me, please. I know, ask me.
Anyone else aside from Benny?
Oh my god, I gotta take a deep breath. This is... I know what's happening. I recognize these faces, all of them. I know all of them.
How much is left till we get home?
Not much. Just kind of lost, I think.
The inclusion of actual voices helps to bring a more human aspect to a genre that tends to prioritize visual horror over emotional horror. There's no real character to root for in Gemini home entertainment or in many other series. If you do hear someone speak, it's usually restricted to distant screams. It's not a problem with the genre, but it's a feature that may not be for everybody. That's what makes the Walten Files stand out though. Each character that speaks has a distinct voice that makes it recognizable and helps make up for not being able to see their face. Furthermore, it closes the metaphorical gap between our world and the fictional world by giving us somebody to experience the story with.
In lighter contexts, this can help us form an emotional attachment to the characters that we're listening to.
Sophie and Ginny's conversations with each other, as brief as they are comforting to listen to.
Put my name over here then. So... I can't go back.
Dumbass.
Huh. You can hear the exhaustion and worry in Susan Whitting's voice when she goes to tune up the Bond animatronic.
This week has been strange, especially because of the opening. I find it weird that they opened the place even though Mr. Walten disappeared a few weeks ago. I hope he's doing alright. Rosemary came in today and asked if we'd seen him around. I'm pretty worried about it.
Even the in-universe fictional characters are given some cute lines to endear you to them. For example, this is one of my favorites.
Whoa! Pretty fun place!
Why, hello there.
Whoa! Pretty horse girl!
I love this rabbit so very much.
But when you have a voice to speak with, you also have a voice to scream with. And it's very interesting to see how these voices evolve over the course of the story as it progressively gets darker. For example, Ashley, a young employee who normally sounds like this.
Hey guys, this is Ashley. I am using the camera because I am planning to buy her a risky leaf suit. I'm sure whatever this team hides could save the project. I will show this footage to you guys once you wake up.
This is what you last hear from her.
Sophie.
Jack Walton's voice is unsettling to listen to at the best of times, but it gets even worse when he's angry and confused about where his kids have gone.
I'm trying to call you all night. What the hell is wrong with you? I've been trying to contact you all night. I've been calling everyone for you. But what the hell is wrong with you? 3 hours you didn't call. I asked you to do one simple favor for me. I need to know, where are they? Where did you...
And this scene. I'm going to black it out because of epilepsy, but I want you to focus on what you hear. Because this is Felix Kraken, after he just got into a drunken car wreck that killed the children of his best friend Jack Walton, Ed and Molly. I can't listen to this audio without getting the chills. How raw and emotional it is. The horror, the guilt, the disbelief. There's something truly horrifying about hearing an authentic, unabashed scream.
While I don't think that the Walten Files is going to be everybody's cup of tea, the hill that I will die on is that its voice acting is one of the strongest aspects that it has in its series. And I would love to see more content creators implement it into their future projects. So if you're willing to get a little bit more goofy, why not check out the Walten Files, or one of its non-canon episodes? You might just find it hitting a nerve you didn't expect. So I didn't have the time to comb through every analog horror series out there, or really dive into what makes each one unique by itself. There's plenty of other series with their own unique styles that really deserve some more attention, like these.
To be honest, I don't get scared by horror much anymore, because the true horror is existing in the current year. But these creators, and many more, have caught my attention by their creativity, their cleverness, and their devilishness. You might not think that anything I've showed today is really all that scary, and you know what? That's totally fine. But I hope that you can at least appreciate the effort that went into creating each one of these projects, because I know I sure did. And I can't wait to see what these creators will do next.
Happy Halloween, everybody, or Happy November. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay classy. This is Tiny Leaf, signing off.